My current problem with creating POIs is how to link the dialogue to like NPCs and stuff.
Okay. Yeah, then just moving on to the second thing in order, the dialogues. Pretty easy. Actually, you just need to know what you're doing as always. So let me show you this example here. Okay, first things first. Hey, Billy. Um, how to add dialogues? Okay, for that, you have to go in God mode invisible. First things first. Let me see. Oh, yeah, in creative mode, this helps too. And now you grab an NPC guy, whatever you want. Let's say we take this soldier here, right? You see if he is able for a dialogue by pressing F on him, then you get an input field. Okay, now, as I sent you before, you have a web tool I programmed together with Hayaveen. And this web tool here helps you to create dialogues. I'm using it daily. And I mean, again, you can work in, in files here. This is a dialogue. The HWS has currently a couple of lines of dialogue, 12K, but this is not really good for the brain, so to speak. So this looks maybe also a little bit confusing and not really convenient. I don't know, but you get used to it. Okay, so let's say we want to add a dialogue guy who is asking you to bring him beer. Okay? 10 beer. So let's say it's a quest. Let's say it's a drunk guy. And I start with init. Why I'm doing this convention here, it's for the tool. Actually, it's also readable, I think. But the reason is if you have 2 or 3 characteristic words in your tag, so to speak, the tool here automatically recognize it as group. So it's colored the same way. Um, I thought
Wait,
it's handy because here on HWS you see you have a lot of dialogues, and if you have kind of visually colored groups, it's just a little bit easier. Um, yeah. Okay, so this guy here, every time I start with something, I call it init. Init is like initialization of variables or decision trees. So this guy here, let's declare first some variables, and I I try to go semi-dev here, so explaining everything important, I hope. So it is maybe a little bit lot, I don't know, a little bit much, but let's see. So first, very important, what variable you're using. What should you use? Um, and this is very, very important because you could change it later, but I don't recommend it because behind a dialogue is a database. And database in Empyrion is, yeah, tricky. Let's say
Yeah.
tricky. Okay, so what does it mean? First, int. Int is for integer, and it means numbers, right? Just numbers. And I think, yeah, I have to explain the difference between these four and database, the prefix database, best with an example. Very quick. I explain later. Okay, and the text is drunk boy, or what was it? Drunk soldier. And the output is yeah, for now number. And I explain in a minute result. Okay, if you are using just integers, then you will have a couple of issues. Execute a plus a gleich equal 2, b equal 3. Okay, and execute a plus b, not like in school. C equals a plus b, and that's it. Yeah, or C, we don't have C, we have result, and number is not needed anymore. Okay, yeah. Da 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 da. And okay. Yeah, you will see why I'm taking some time. Exactly one. Okay.
Yeah, it makes sense why it takes forever. I spent 2.5 hours making one thing. Just trial and error.
Okay. Yeah, now export. So if you are later on, if you are done with doing stuff in the dialog, you have to export it at the top right. You have to export it in the content configuration folder. And then you can just override the dialogs, ECF, override yes, override yes. Okay, and now it's important, first, you just grab your dialog name, copy, and then paste it into the guy, set. Second important step is the game doesn't know that you exported something, so you have to tell him. You have to reload the files. It's DS stands for dialog system, reload. And yep, okay, you are not allowed to have duplicated entries, so let me fix this quick. This annoying pop up. Okay, so and you have to keep in mind the first reload is for your ECF file, and then the second reload is for your CSV file. So just for explain.
That's weird.
Yeah. Don't ask.
So for the easiest two systems for me to do, build the POI and make a solar system.
Okay. Okay, because let me just explain. In the ECF file, you have all the logic. You have the reference tags, the logic, etc., the options, and in the CSV file, you have the strings, so to speak. And the strings can be later here also translated to different languages. Okay, so we reloaded both. We have set the guy here to the drunken guy in it. And now important, the last step before it goes, is you have to switch to survival first, then you have to switch to God mode fly. Very important, God mode fly. In this case, it's okay, it's a POI, but if you want to spawn your own structures and test your dialog stuff there. If you do not use God mode fly, then it's telling you something like, you can't have a dialog in player-owned structures. And God mode fly is the trick for it. Anyways, if we are talking with a guy here, let me see, you get this here. This is also important because many people are asking me, hey, it doesn't work. And then they are sending me their save game, etc. But I have to say, it's not often that the game is telling you in a good way what went wrong. Most of the time you get stuff like this. Object reference, crap, etc. you can't work with. But dialogues are very cool because they actually tell you what went wrong. And here it says the result2 variable does not exist in the context. Okay, you might think, what the fuck? But then you see, you just, have to think, wait, context? And then you realize you are using it, but you do not reference it. You don't declare it. So it's just missing to put as a variable. This is the context the game needs. So I just forgot the variable, sorry. But it's good, so you see the struggle you will have to. Since it was only the CSV file, ECF file, it's enough to just reload once, right? And now you press F and you see 5, 6, and okay. If we quickly check, it's true, right? Simple enough. 2 plus 3 is 5, and 5 plus 1 is 6. Okay? Easy. But, if you want to have a calculator as NPC, you can do it like this. But the important thing I want to show here is if you press F again, you have the same. And this is very interesting, actually, because I want to explain what the difference is between database and int. And int is, you have to keep in mind, it's only per instance. It means if you press F, this here, right now, is an instance, a dialog instance. And every variable you work with right now is in this instance saved. So logically, you could ask me, hey, why isn't it the second time 7, the third time 8, because it's dynamically grabbing this result and adding just +1. And it doesn't work because it's only an integer, only working in this instance. So you realize this is not very good if you want to make quests, because you have a player in multiplayer, he goes to an NPC, and he is giving you a quest, right? And if you talk with him again, he forgets it, right? And he is giving you the same quest again and again and again. And this is stupid, right? So you want to save it in a database. And so the NPC recognizes you and is telling you, hey, I gave you the quest already, right? Stop bothering me. And this can be done by just switching the result2 variable into a database variable. In this case, let's use the database player. This is the most used, at least, or the most used I recommend to use. I will explain quickly in a minute what each is. But if we doing it now and saving, and reload, and talking with him, it's the first time 6, second time 2, 1 second. I probably, okay, stupid enough. It's of course, the cycle keeps going the same because the result is also always the same, right? So we have to set this to database 2. So we have 5, 6, yeah. This should work, I think. Quickly checking. Yeah, just try it before I'm thinking too long. I show you, I forgot one thing. 1 second. Database Explorer. Oh, yeah, database. DB browser, sorry. DB browser SQLite. This should be it, yeah. I will put also the link here in the channel, because if you work with, I mean with everything, but especially with dialogues, I recommend to use this tool here, because here you can see what you are doing, so you don't have to, reload every time, blah, blah, blah. Okay, and here you see our database we have previously stored, the value 6. And 1 second, yeah, I sent you this. I sent you, yeah, okay, and okay, this, yeah, okay, so you see, obviously now you have the value stored in the database, and every time you talk with him now, it's adding it, okay, actually twice now, because I'm declaring both in the database, but you see now if you would talk with him now, he would recognize you, and depending on this, I mean, this is a very basic example, but if you translate it to the team tower, for example, it's telling you, hey, you have a certificate or not, hey, you have 100 promotion points or not, etc. This is, I mean, I can show you a little bit the logic here, so you
Oh
know.
god, team is so annoying. I've been trying to get to VIP for so long now.
Yeah, like this, you
Especially when team locks you out.
yeah, well, this should not happen anymore, you see? Or did it happen to you again? Anyone?
Not me. It happened to somebody in my faction. He spent hours getting everything set up for my faction so we can just go through, collect the farm, head in, and get to VIP.
Yeah,
As long as we do the turn-ins, and then he got locked out.
yeah. I don't know who it was, but if he makes a ticket, I can just,
There was so many people. There were so many people giving you shit about it, so he didn't want to
ah,
add a ticket. So he
okay,
was
okay,
because a whole bunch of people already were telling you about it, and after 2 days, it fixed itself.
okay. Yeah, but basically here would be the thing where, I would set the promotion points to whatever. This can be only done with a server restart, so this is what I did sometimes before going sleep. Okay, yeah, so here you see data, a lot of variables, and then checks like this. Do you talk with a receptionist guy or not, etc. So so this was a very, very simple example, but it's important to know that these 4 variable types are only usable within the instance. As long as the dialog here is open, it's used. But once you talk with them again, all these values are reset. And obviously, bool means stuff like true or false. It's always a comparison. Float is just, decimal numbers. String is a string, right? Text you could store. And here, just quick, database state is, yeah, you have to think like this. If you have two NPC guys, oh, fuck's sake.
Hi.
Classical.
Love it.
Every time. Got me.
Hey, I think you need to fix that, Billy Bob.
Okay. If you have two guys, if you're working with the DB state, and both the guys are, again, drunken guy, then the variable would be different for both guys. This guy would, for example, have the number 10 now, and this guy 6. So use DB state, I would say, if you really want to, per NPC, per player, different things. Then it's good. DB player is the most used because this is handy to, if both are named equal and you use DB player, then that guy knows the result from that guy. And this is very powerful because you can put this guy on ECC and this guy on, homeworld, and they both share the information. This way I did the HWS star fragments, That way I know that you talked with a CO guy, etc. Okay, so DB player is very powerful. This is new. This is the same, but only for a POI. This is handy to even, it will come in HWS 14. This is handy if you want to give each player individual loot. So actually you even don't really need the personal container anymore if you work with this. And this is very powerful because if you have two personal containers, you maybe know what the limitation is. You have two of these, but you have only one playfield YAML. So if you set here the personal container loot, like a pistol, whatever, and then obviously both container will have a pistol. And this is sometimes stupid and sometimes good, depends on the loot. But if you work with this variable, you can really precisely give each player, each step, a boss room, different loot than the starter room, for example. Okay, so very cool stuff. What I just talked was for this POI variable. Playfield variable is useful for instances. I use it for the hacking mission. So because there were a couple of exploits in the elemental hacking mission. Not anymore, I hope. And one exploit was that the variables got shared all the time, so you could grab 1 million reward every time. And this variable fixed it, because a new instance has a new 1 million reward. So you could only get it once. This is cool. Data global is used. It's very powerful, and I'm not using it at all very good yet. This is, for example, used for ECC, for these little things, which are unfortunately not very used.
I use them every time I go through a mission.
Okay, yeah, perfect. Yoo-hoo.
Because I like the gold coins. It helps over time, it builds up.
Yes, I mean
especially when you only
360.
have 26 million,
Okay, yeah. It's,
but
you
you have all
know,
the RP in the world.
yeah, it's a feedback thing, and it's showing globally how many players voted a mission bad or good. And globally is, yeah, done with the global integer or similar like this, only for that playfield global. Um, and this I can tell you will be very popular soon if I start to implement quests where the whole server has a goal. You know,
Oh
imagine
yeah.
if you
Oh yeah.
know the movie Avenger, finding
Yeah, exactly.
the stones, right?
Hmm.
So in the future, I will create stuff like this. The whole server has a goal and have to work together to achieve a goal. And for that, the global variables are very cool. All right, so,
I have two more things before I log out,
oh yeah, sure.
because I have to go back to school. First thing, why is there no aluminum in the universe? Second thing, uh, how did you run the auction? No, the one thing I forgot what it's called. Dang it, on HWS Connect, how you can put in a ticket and have a chance of getting stuff. Forgot what it was called.
A daily loot?
Lottery.
No.
Yeah, the lottery.
Yeah.
How I made it or how?
How it works.
How it works. The lottery works in our EAH tool. It's a little add-on, and do I have it open right now? I mean, HWS Connect is just the interface, so to speak, right? You have here the lottery tickets, and it's just a visualization. But the logic behind it is in our EAH tool. So it's nothing I did with the dialogues or so. And your first question was again,
Why is there no aluminum in the whole universe when it's used for team?
okay, I see. The two new resources, aluminum here and platinum, are not currently, or well, they are, but very, very hidden. I don't know if people actually found it yet, but very, very rare. And I wanted to change it, especially because the team requires it from you. So yeah, good point. Good point. It will drastically change in the next season, where they are not only deposits, but also important materials for crafting and stuff. Yeah. So
And this last question is a question on behalf of my faction. They feel
okay.
like they wanted to know if you're cutting the season short because they feel like you're gonna cut it short because of since you released the extra whatchamacallit, star fragment.
If you mean if I keep the current season short, because
They're wondering if you're gonna cut it short because you released two star fragments at once. That's why they're wondering.
okay, no. The reason why there was a time window of 1 week where the star fragments were a little bit messed up was because I failed in terms of the the variables. I had a debug variable in, and the first guys who claimed the first star fragment were just very lucky. Very lucky. Normally, they had to talk with the CEO from team, but because I had a testing variable in it, they were set to talk to CEO, so they had a shortcut given. But no, it's not a reason to cut the season short. The season should end on 13th November, but subject to change. It depends on Ilion if they release a big patch again on Christmas. So yeah, but roughly 3 months.
Okay, thank you. I have to go.
All right, yeah, have fun in school. And thanks. Okay. School, good times. Okay. So we shit. We know how to, or question, could you yourself place dialogues now, or the basics? Do you have questions for the basics? Did I forgot to?
Structural integrity Tandov?
Oh yeah, good point. Yeah, okay. Didn't collapse. Right. Thank you. Okay, we take this here. But yeah, just quickly again, you create with a plus in the tool a new dialog. You give it a name, whatever. That name you set here is set here in creative. Then you switch back. You reload couple of times just to be sure. And then, yeah, you talk with him. And now, of course, this was a very, stupid, simple example. I just wanted to show the impact of the different variables, but to make it a little bit more, I would say, immersive, you have what I wanted first, right? I'm sober. This can't be bring me beer. Okay, stuff like this. So we have a quest to bring him beer. And we say beer given for now. And here, first of all, for example, no, I don't know, not good. So we reject the quest, or sure, take these in case we have already. I have the logic to show that the player visually that you give him or you lose items now if you do it. And then I will create everything and explain in a minute. Okay, on my way. Let's do it like on HWS. Okay, reject or start the quest. This comes later, and this is okay here. Okay, minus 10 beer. All right, and for now end. But to make it a little bit more immersive, by the way, I'm using a couple of shortcuts here. If you click on this icon, you can read it yourself, but basically press and hold Control key duplicates your dialog stuff. This is sometimes handy to don't write it again. And Control, press and hold Control to move options in a different order is also sometimes useful. And here we have a thank you. And just to explain a little bit, why I duped it. Okay, why is it like different states? And here you have to think about it like a storyline, you know, a path. And the path can have a couple of branches. And it's up to you now to go into the branches or not, or chain the branches with each other even. So this is, yeah, quite powerful, and just for you to keep in mind why sometimes it's very useful to have a lot of branches to work with it. Sometimes you feel like not another branch. I have already 30, but it's, I mean, the only downside is really that your file becomes very big after some time. You have thousands of lines, but it should not bother you really. So here, for example, you know, the blackjack dealer, it has a start, and then for each state, so to speak, a different branch, a different dialogue. So if you won here, really only it will handle the win situation, the loss situation, and so on. So this is why we create now the init start thing, which we will change in a minute, but here a thank you branch, and the thank you branch would look like finally a beer. Yeah, the guy just thanking you and maybe giving you even a reward. It's really up to you now, but let's keep it simple. Okay. By the way, end means the dialogue just ends, obviously. But yeah, like this. A little hint. I mean, one quest can have hundreds of branches, right? But you realize that this guy here has only one. So you just have to keep in mind it's also kind of top down, from top to bottom. So you only set the init guy here in the game, and the init guy will handle all different branches. So the thank you branch will get called later on. So just for you to understand the logic why one quest have a lot of branches, but the game only wants one. And this is also the reason why only at the beginning, only on the dialogue state you set in the game, you have to set the NPC name. Every other branch, you can keep it empty because they are inheriting what you set here. Yeah. What does the NPC name means? It's just this guy here, this title, Drunken Soldier. It's this here. If you keep it empty, it will be this one, Security Guard, which is not immersive, right? So, okay, now now the fun parts comes. Fun part, because your creativity is infinite now. What you do now, what you chain, and you know, I think you know role play games, or you know games like this. So you can have now so different outcomes or situations. The NPC guy is asking you or requesting whatever. It's really up to you, but just as an example, we restructure it now a little bit, so it will make all sense at the end a little bit better. Thank you, beer, to set a couple of branches up, because here I don't want to have any text, etc. in the init state. The init state should really just handle the top logic. And the top logic is basically, do you have the beer or not? Do you accept the quest or not? So we can even make it very, very restricted. Quest accepted, DB player, and And okay, so it's not currently in HWS so much, but in other games, I don't know if you know the game Detroit Become Human, or yeah, basically games where you make a decision, and if you do the decision, you can't take it back. I think this is very interesting, and don't give this, I don't care feeling every time.
Yeah.
So quest accepted, okay, be a given, okay, should be enough, I think. And now, important, the if condition. So quest accepted, so you grab your variable again. If it's 0, you say, let's create a new one where you just say no. Just easy enough. Okay, no. And here it's just the guy, well, you decline the quest, and the guy just telling you something too bad. And you, the player, yeah, you don't even need an option. I mean, if you set an option, it means the game is waiting for your input, right? But if you leave the option alone, so nothing happens, and you just set the text, it will, I think, auto close in 3 seconds or so. Or maybe you can do a little trick like this. I can explain later. Okay, so if it's 0, we go to the branch drunk. No, because you declined. We will come back to it later. You say yes, then you accepted the quest. And obviously there is a last state where you did the quest already, so you don't get the quest every time and exploit maybe the reward. So in this case, we create another branch and done, because we did it already. And yeah, I'm fine with my bottle for now. Okay, we keep it like this. And so this quest would be the done one, and this would be the actual quest, the beer one. Okay, so we have every state covered, I think. And now, how do we get these numbers here so the check does work or not? So now we just go into the branches here itself, and the very first time you just have to keep in mind the variables are set to 0. If you declare the variable at the beginning it's 0, so we obviously would start here with a no, which is not good, right? We would need to start with a beer one, so the actual question, do you want to accept the quest or not? So we just do it like this. Or let me even do it like this. I can explain later. So, okay, beer. And here it's actually the beginning of everything. I'm sober, bring me beer. And you have now the option. So if you reject, then you go to the no state, right? No. And here comes now the important thing, how everything makes sense, actually, by using the variable you declared here at the beginning. And start the quest and set here. Start the quest equals 1. And because many ask me, what is the difference, or maybe it will happen to you that this now will give an error. Why? Because you are using only one equal sign. If you use only one equal sign, it means you declare a value. If you want to compare something, to check if something happens, you need to set to equals, or is it greater than 1, right? Less, and so on. So we accept the quest, which means the variable has now the value 1. And if we talk with him again, then it would go in this branch here, in the done branch, which we will change later, logically, of course, but just for you to know how to handle the variables and the consequences with them. I think it's easy, but just to, the logic behind it. But to finish it, okay, so the quest, for that we actually need another task or branch. Start, please hurry. Here we can, whatever, okay. Or maybe you know, if it's if it's a real quest, you could tell here how to, or ask how to get beer, etc. And here you can, create more and more and more branches and explaining.
I feel like feature creep could be a real issue with making this. You end up having so many branches, you forget what you did in the first place.
Yeah, right. So keep it simple, right? Okay, so start. Just finish it. Quest accepted 1. So we go first here. Now we have the start one here, and we need obviously the done one. I make it so detailed because I have already made a tutorial about dialogues, but I missed the thing about multiplayer interaction a little bit more. I explained about something about the talk count and to not exploit the system, but that way is a little bit better than the talk count, etc. Just in case you watched the other tutorial. Okay, so this is no, this is done, this is start. We have every constellation set. So here we are finishing it. It's no, rejecting. If we reject it, it was 3. Okay, so it's a decision. If you reject it, you can't really do it again. And okay, here beer. This is actually a little bit more tricky. I think we have to handle a little bit different. And this is, okay, so start the quest is easy. We go into this branch. Just skip this. Okay. And then the player go and somehow bringing him beer. Okay. But now he has beer. Let's say he has 10 beer in the inventory. And he would now go to this branch here, start. And this does not make sense, right? So it's always start. So we need actually here a different check now. And for that, very important, if you click here on the question mark, you see, couple of values, so to speak, to work with. And what we need now is, does he has beer in the inventory, right? So has item, beer, the item name, and then how many? 10 we want. Okay, if he has it, blah, 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 then we go to
And his inventory is an instant variable, not a global variable. Is there a way to make his inventory global. So if you want everybody to give him 10 beers till he has like 1,000 beers, whatever.
Yeah, this is actually, maybe a little bit confusing, but this is not a variable anymore. This is a real-time check, an event check the game is doing. So as soon as you
Okay.
would press F, this function would trigger and run now all his 49 slots. Does he have beer? Yes or no? So it's not a variable in this case here. As I said, you can declare here a couple of things. For example, how many players, how many players are in the playfield. This is also sometimes handy if a mission, for example, should only work with 4 players. I will use it in the future more to set different loot for a different amount of players. I think this concept is quite good. Where was it?
Is there a way to get it to, after the guy finished talking, like, if you gave the wrong answer, you can like spawn a half dozen spiders or something like that, or that's not quite there yet?
Spawning stuff can't be done with a dialogue, actually, unfortunately. But this is very, 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 very advanced, but you can chain the dialogue with the PDA. And the PDA is able with playfield ops to spawn NPCs. This is possible. But for that, here spawn enemy, and then you can set Zyrex, etc. But for that, you have to chain the dialogue with the PDA, and this would be too much for today, I think.
Yeah, no,
But
absolutely.
maybe later.
Can you also have the dialogue then open up teleporters or mission portals only if you've talked and finished the dialogue?
Yes. For that, you would need to work with signals. Signals in multiplayer are not your best friend, I have to say. But if it's really necessary, then you can trigger here with a dialogue signal. So yeah. So based on the answer or question from the NPC, the door would open, for example.
Or the turret pops up out of the ground and shoots the player.
Yeah, right.
Exactly.
Good stuff. I see. Okay, finishing it. So just the logic quickly again. At the beginning, it's 0. So we go here. It's explaining the player what he needs to do. He's sober and he wants a beer. So, okay, we accepting it. Then we just go here, going for the hunt, bringing him beer. If the player has 10 beer, then it would be done. And you could give, with the execute, give the player now a reward. Let's say a raw diamond, 1. Okay, as a reward. If he has not 10 beer, then we have to check here. Is it covered here? And right now, not really. And for that, for you to keep in mind this logic, exclamation mark, and then the function. It's the negative state of something. Okay, and here also to keep in mind that the order matters here too. So make sure to have the proper order here. And if we if he has not 10 beers, we just bring him back to this state here, please hurry. Okay. So he has it, then it's done. Start. Yeah, please hurry. Basically, we don't need this state here. And no, yeah, let's do this. So if he rejects, right, it's 3. Okay, this is not needed anymore. And this, okay. So I think we are good to go. Export everything, the ECF and CSV file. And by the way, the item helper here, it's a little bit tricky, but just to explain, you have to import a config ECF file. And for me, it's a little bit,
Sorry about that.
no problem. It's a little bit unfortunate because on HWS I'm only working with the root files now, like the blocks config, the items config, but the tool here is not updated for these individual config files yet. This means you have to use the vanilla one. It's okay. I just have to update the tool as soon as I have time to also grab the individual files. But for now, the config ECF file would be in the root folder, root, content, configuration, and here the config example ECF. If you import it and go back to the dialog, then you have the handy feature that it's automatically fetching all items from the game. So because some names are quite fancy, you know, if you want a turret, you probably don't know that it's called turret, Cyrex, MS, rocket, so on. So this helps you just to find the right item. Okay, so we exported everything and hopefully everything works. Okay, survival, got mode fly and shoot. All right, looks good. We have, skip it. For confirmation, if you want to be very, very precise, you can also check your progress in the database program here. But okay, we jump to this state and we see the 3 options here now. And just for testing purposes, we reject now. Too bad. Okay, if we talk again with him, he say, please hurry, which is a mistake. So, please hurry. No. So now you go to your database tool, if you work with the dialogues, and press F5, reload. And here you see what is going on. And, you know, it's a little bit sometimes easier to understand where the mistake was. Because now we see the quest accepted variable is set to 3. So we just skim through it. It's 3. And the guy is telling us, please hurry. Please hurry is in the start state. And this is because the order is wrong. Because it's going from top to bottom, right? So in this case, it's checking this. Nope, not true. It's 3. But then we are going here. And this is actually true, right? We don't have, right now, 10 beer. This is why we are going in this state here. So it's a good habit to have the negative stuff, the rejected stuff, at the top. So it gets filtered out before the good stuff, so to speak. So if we export it again, we see the order should be respected. And he is telling, too bad. Okay, so it's 3 and it's, yeah, you can't do the quest ever again. So we change it to 0 again. So we cheat a little bit. So we are at the start again. And now we want to accept it and test. Please, sorry. Okay, okay. So if we go now, he is keep telling us, please, sorry, until we have what he wants. Because, just again, it's running in this condition here, right? We don't have 10 beer. So hopefully, yeah, we have enough beer for his whole life. Okay.
And it'll read from the item bar as well as from the backpack.
Yes, yes. It doesn't matter. Even if you split, it shouldn't matter.
Okay.
So, for example, if we do this here, it should. Oh, a good thing I forgot. Maybe you will check yourself. If we talk now with him, I'm fine with my bottle for now. Okay. And you see here?
Uh-oh.
A raw diamond. So we got the reward. But we made one mistake. Okay, we got our reward. We made one mistake. You see?
Yeah.
We get infinite diamonds. So the yeah, I did such mistakes too last season.
Yeah, last season on Venatus, that was the thing, except the reward was 10,000 diamonds. So, it was at the end of a particularly difficult POI, but a few people who worked it out very, very quickly.
Yeah, it's a big fail. I did it too. So it happens very quick, as you see, just because you forgot one little check. And this check
Always
is
bug test. Always bug test.
yeah, this too. Always test your stuff. Very important. So yeah, obviously, if we run into the done check in the done branch, we have now obviously to make sure you don't get it every time, right? So here, instead of executing it every time we are running in the branch, we are just doing it like this. We thank the soldier. We put it in the option, so you have in the option an execute possibility, and in the chapter itself, in the branch itself. Okay, and here you have the handy feature to have also an if condition. And in the if condition, we obviously have everything, what we declared here already. Our variable, I mean. So, in the done state, we declare the variable to 2. Because 3 is claimed, 0 is claimed. We can even set it to 1. This is free. Okay, so this makes sure it's given. The reward is given. Hence, you have to ask for it. So if you did not claim it yet, this is done with the unequal sign. If it's not 1, then you can grab it. You say thanks. Otherwise, obviously, if it's 1, so you grabbed your reward already, then I see you're fine. Whatever. And it's just an end. It's also just an end. So in this case, yeah, it's not giving you diamonds anymore. So let's export both. And reload. And I'm fine. I see you're fine. 1 second. F5. yeah, the variable is set to 1. So one time you get the diamond again, but the second time, now, if I didn't make a mistake, now, 1 second, quest accept. Oh, wait, I think if I press F5 now, it's 1, yeah, right? Yeah, if you click now, I see you are fine. You see you don't get a diamond anymore. I see you are fine. Yeah, because now it's checking, okay, you got it already. So these checks are very important, and you don't have to do it only with options. You can also do it here. So but this means you would need to create even more branches, because here you would now set, the same like in the option. Okay, no, you didn't get the reward yet, or yes, you did get the reward, and based on that, you have different branches now. But with the option, it's a little bit, smarter, I would say, to check. Yeah, so this is basically our little check. And obviously, you see, we forgot one last thing. We scammed him. He didn't get the beer at all. So obviously,
he's already too drunk.
yeah. He doesn't recognize it. So obviously, as soon as it's done, we have the feature remove item, and here we just make the same. So you have add item and you have remove item, and with this, just let me reset our progress to 0 again. And if we talk with them again, then okay, let's do the quest. Okay, please hurry. We have 10 beer. I'm fine. I see you are fine. And our beers are gone now. The only issue you saw is we executed the variable a little bit too fast, so we didn't get the diamond. So this is also a little, you have a little bit to be cautious with the order, because execution is direct. So yeah, in this case, because I zip everything we did, and so you have it also for you to work with later. So to fix this, because if we talk with them again, we made here a little mistake. Yeah, it has no beer again. So we are running in this thing. So let me change this here properly. Start. Because this is can be a little bit tricked. So let me really do it the proper way. If it's not one, no, if it's so, okay, if it's done, it's done. Add item diamond. This is you get one, and we forgot one variable here. Be given as 1. If be given as then you get. Okay.
Is there any options for like random number generation or whatever in the logic?
Yes,
Like, it
yes.
wouldn't. It doesn't have to be with the blackjack, obviously.
Yes, yes, there is. And this is a good question and very, very powerful and handy to create mind-blowing things. I will show in a
Yeah,
minute.
because you could have variable loot and all sorts of stuff, couldn't you?
You mean, or what do you mean exactly with that?
Well, if you had, if you go do the quest and then you you give the item, and then that item would trigger a random
Hmm.
variable to be made, and then you have your reward based on whatever number that random variable is between whatever limits you put in.
Yes, yes. This works and even more. I can tell you, or show you in a minute. Just fixing this. Da-da-da. 1, 2, 3. Genau. Okay. Okay, so he got his diamond only once, no exploit possible. If we are in the beginning, he accepts the quest. Okay, we have a little check to be made here because it's a generic one run. Okay. I think. Yeah. Right. No. Peer quest. Okay. And
I'd hate to have to try and do this in like detect in the config file line by line.
yeah, you can. You can, but so one. Okay. If it's I really recommend if you have a big quest, if you work with it a lot, it really helps actually to have a kind of a flow chart or something visually to support your brain with the logic, because after some time so many variables are flying in your head. You only make mistakes, and then at least I do it. So it's better to have a good condition first, where to go. So quest accept, right? Okay, this done. Okay, gotcha. Okay. Exporting these. By the way, if you don't get such a pop-up, it's a browser setting to ask where to download your files. Per default, Google Chrome, for example, has a don't ask and always put it in your download folder, which is annoying. You have to use your Explorer. So I recommend to use this Chrome setting then to ask, because every time you export, it's already cached where you want to save it. Okay. Yeah, so that's it. So let's come to the random stuff just quickly, because I think it shows how powerful the dialogue can become also with doing this, because it's not only to randomize, so to speak, randomize variables, but even signals, or even quests, or PDAs, and everything actually. I don't know if some of you played the Temple Runner mission in HQ, but that's similar. Maybe I can quickly show, just quick here, I think, yeah. CM off. Okay. Sunlight. Okay, so the mission works. You buddy bar, fight, pew pew. Then you have to go to the top. And if you're here, well, I am not in the HWS scenario right now, so this gives me an arrow. But you want to leave this temple, but you can't. You have to talk with the chief, with the shaman. And the shaman is now actually randomizing your exit point. The chance is 25% to either leave the temple here or leave the temple here, you know. Like here, these popping up, they are trapdoors. So either here or at the bottom, you know. So it was an approach to make missions repeatable. So if it would be only one exit Stargate, it would become boring, you know, after some time. But that way you have a random exit point connected to signals. It's a little bit, you basically just have some numbers, and the logic for it, 1 second, would be, where am I? Here, temple, in it. Yeah, you check for the signals, and the magic stuff is decision here. The function is called random, and then you put in brackets the range. So from 1 to 3, it should shuffle, randomize. So if the shuffle method actually throws a 1, then this Stargate should be activated. And so
What
on.
language is it based off? Because it looks like
It's it's a simplistic form of C#, I would say.
yeah, right.
It's also a little bit of a JavaScript sometimes.
Yeah, I was going to say it looks like a hybrid between JavaScript
Yes.
and C.
Yeah. Right. Yeah, so that way, it's really your creativity, what you do with it. You can say here now 1 and trigger this state here, this a branch, in this case a signal. But you can now, of course, also trigger the PDA or different loot, you know, where was it? Collector, I think. Randomizer. Yeah, I have, for example, here randomized the amount. You know, in the game you have loot tables. Yeah, you have a container. The container has a random chance to drop epic weapons, for example, or common weapons, or whatever. Here, like these, right? And with dialogues, you can actually create your own loot table, like this. You set item, values. In this case, it should be random loot small. So only 6 items should be dropped, or a big, or credits, you know. So it's up to you how to customize everything. It's very powerful, yeah.
I feel like I could have a lot of fun with this to mess with people.
Yeah, dialogues are really awesome. It's just, yeah, it takes a little bit of time to set everything right up, no exploits, etc. Okay. Yeah, but I think we have our examples. Hello, Squish. Yeah, so I think you know now how to set dialogues, how to configure them. I think it's not the issue how to implement them into the game, because you really just have to watch out for these few things like creative mode, invisible mode, and setting the dialogues in the end, terminals or whatever. But yeah, the real challenge is actually your logic, your brain. What are you capable of doing with them?